Hello, it is Mental Health Awareness Week here at SGTV, and we're joined in the studio once again by Lucas from Andy's Man Club, and today's subject is healthy habits. So, healthy habits, Lucas, what does this mean to you and to mental health?
I think it all boils down to one thing really, which is routine. I think for me as a person, and I know for a lot of people, developing a healthy routine is the most significant thing about overcoming challenges that you face with your mental health. I think that, again, it's got to be a realistic routine, but, you know, little things like having a skincare routine. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? We might be, you know, we're saying this obviously, you know, to an audience who might be quite averse sometimes to these kinds of things, but as a bloke, you're not likely to actually take care of your physical health as well as women do. Men are less likely to go to the doctors for a physical ailment. They're less likely to have skincare routines, for example, all this type of thing. And I think that routine, like, you know, routine and healthy habits, it's all about looking after yourself, all about putting yourself first, and really just working out what works for you, what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, and just working out how to do that.
I think it goes to, like you say, routines. It can be a lot of things. It can be a skin routine. It can be a grooming routine. And like you say, it might sound silly, but those are the kind of positive habits that do sort of break you out of those negative loops in a way. And there is a lot of science from the link between sort of mental health and physical health as well. So even things like exercise, whether that's an exercise routine. And that doesn't mean you've got to go and be Mr. Olympia or anything like that and compete at, you know, crazy, staggering levels, but just doing something simple, going for a walk, anything as part of a routine, it's going to have a positive effect.
Yeah, that's it. And it's that repetition. And I think that, you know, we talk about grooming and we talk about, you know, exercise. I think that a sign that a lot of people are told to look for when they're asked how can you tell if someone's struggling is if somebody starts taking less care about their appearance, you know, somebody either piles on weight or loses weight drastically. I think that having these routines, looking after yourself, I think it's just a really significant thing. And then also working out what doesn't work as well, working out what those bad habits are. You know, are you drinking excessively? Are you eating too much junk food? Are you smoking? Or are you smoking too much? Are you know, dabbling in drugs? Working out what these things are and trying to replace them with healthy coping strategies. I mean, for me, the healthiest habit I've always had has been my involvement in football. Like, I love it. Like, I played up until sort of the age of 21, 22, then I had a serious knee injury. So now I play at a lesser standard, but I coach every weekend and being in and around that and having that routine, knowing that I've got training on a Thursday, five-a-side on a Monday, I've got a game on a Saturday. That repetition's just really powerful for me, and it really fuels social connection as well. And that football and that sporting element and the hiking that I've mentioned on other episodes are all things that replaced weekends where I'd be sat with my mates, potentially taking drugs and ordering takeaways. You know, that's the thing. That's what it replaced. Going out, having exercise, being around people who are really positive influences on you. You know, unless if you lose at football, you know, you're in a good spot.
I think you spoke about friends. Friends can be a big influence for better and for worse, can't they?
Yeah.
And I've seen people talk about if you're in a bad place and you've got to take responsibility for yourself. You can't blame other people, but other people can bring you down, can't they?
Yeah.
And I've seen people say I've had to genuinely just cut friends or even family out of my life for my own well-being.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the case for you or people you've worked with?
Yeah, I've done it myself several times. You know, there's been friends and there's been family members who had to cut out, and I think, you know, it's a brave and a bold decision to take, but I think it's what I say quite often to some of my other friends. You've got to work out. It sounds really cold and calculated to say this, but what purpose these people have in your life.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who will enrich you, who will lift you up, who will make you feel better. There are also people who I'm friends with who I wouldn't dream of sharing my problems with, because I just know what I'd get would be an unempathetic, you know, like super logical response. Whether that's sorting your finances out or whether, you know, there's a friend who you need to go for if you know, if you need a bit of work doing in your house or something like that, you know, versus those friends who can be that sort of, you know, emotional support for you. It's all about working out where they fit into the jigsaw of your life, really, and trying to work out who enriches what. And I think that's, you know, there are people, you might not necessarily have to cut them off, but there are people who'll be better at helping support you through your issues than others.
Yeah, and I suppose going to some of the group sessions like Andy's Man Club, I've heard you say people have made lifelong friends from going to those groups because they support each other, don't they?
That's it, and you know, I've made lifelong friends through it. I mean, one of the lads who I work with, Tom and I will share issues with each other all the time because we've both got the same mentality, we've got a similar background to each other, and we've really found that common connection. And I think that's what so many people find at these groups. Like you say, other people who've been through similar things, who understand, who get it, and you don't have to go through, you know, like, it can be difficult opening up to a friend who you've had since childhood, but if you know straight away that this person has been through what you've been through or been through something similar, then so many other barriers are sort of eroded, and that person could become a really useful friend for you going forward.
Yeah, and with the healthy habits, there's one thing that stuck with me was a famous saying by someone saying, "Start by cleaning your room." Yeah, and people might think, "Oh, what does that mean?" And it's to me, I think it's just basically taking that small step of what can I control? What can I control? Whether that's literally tidying my room, working on my appearance, not brushing my hair, but brushing your hair, you know, yeah. Tidying your beard, organising your van, whatever it is, something that's clean and organised. It's one less thing to worry about. It's one less thing that's going to overwhelm you or chip away at you. And it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. When we've talked about panic attacks and anxiety, it can be just a feeling of being overwhelmed. And there's nothing less significant than the other. So it could be something like, oh, I need to sort my van out. It could be trauma, it could be bad relationships, it could be anything, but start with something small, because we've spoke about a lot here. We've spoke about exercise, grooming, opening up, and it's brilliant. It's what we want to encourage people to do, but when we say it all at once, it's a lot, I suppose, for people to take on board and to tackle. So it would be sort of, would you agree that starting with something small that you can control? That's it, and it's all about, you know, like building blocks. You know, you deal with those smaller issues, or you deal with those very, very immediate controllable things, and before you know it, if you've dealt with 10, 15 things, then you're building a solid foundation for yourself, like 100%, and that's what you need to do. Deal with those controllables, deal with what's immediate, and deal with those smaller things, because, you know, they might be small in the grand scheme of things, but there and then they're not small to you, they're very significant. Yeah. Lucas, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. If you want to follow Andy's Man Club, we'll put a link in the description. If you wanted to go along to one of the groups in your area, you'll be able to find one there. We've got more in this series with Lucas from Andy's Man Club talking about men's mental health, so please keep an eye out for those videos, and we will see you in the next one.